it's not about what you give up, it's about what you make space for. Hey guys, it's Marco Manzello. Welcome back to the I Am Catholic YouTube channel. Welcome back to the I Am Catholic project. So, week 1 of Lent, our first challenge as we go throughout the course of this Lenten journey, we're talking about fasting. So everyone knows fasting maybe as the second thing that you're supposed to do in Lent, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. We're talking about fasting first because this is one of those things that's most closely affiliated to the Lenten journey. I don't know about your experience through Lent, but growing up, the only thing I ever really thought of when it came to Lent is I'm going to have to give up a lot of stuff. I'm going to have to give up chocolates. I'm going to have to give up sweets. I'm going to have to give up things that I quite enjoy. One of the things that is so crucial to the fasting journey, though, is it's not about what you give up. It's about what you make space for. I think it's really important to define the intention for why we are fasting, the intention for why you are giving up chocolate, the intention for why you're giving up social media or whatever it is, right? Because it's not just about, we're not out here to just torture ourselves for the fun of it. There's so much that you can do with that self-denial for the greater glory of the kingdom and for God. One of the most common mistakes that we make when it comes to fasting is just, kind of fasting for the sake of fasting. I'm just going to give up something for the sake of giving it up because I feel like I enjoy that a lot and I probably should because it's Lent and I have to give up something, right? And one of the most important things about fasting is our intention in the fast, right? Because fasting can be one of the most powerful forms of prayer possible. How do we know this? Let's look at the Bible. Mark chapter 9, Jesus and his apostles are in a crowd. They encounter a father whose son is an epileptic. His son often gets attacked by spirits and he convulses and he ends up throwing himself into the fire. And Jesus rebukes the spirit and asks it to come out. The apostles had tried to do the exact same thing by casting out the spirit just before Jesus did, but they couldn't succeed. After Jesus rebuked the spirit, the apostles came to him privately and said, how did you do that? Because we tried and we couldn't. And Jesus said, this kind of spirit's very powerful. It can only be cast out with prayer and fasting. Fasting is one of the most powerful forms of prayer that we can participate in. And if you're going to take advantage of that really, really powerful prayer, it's super important to know what you intend your prayer towards. So the key question is, why are you fasting? What is your intention behind this fast? And I actually encourage you, take a second now, maybe pause the video and do that. If you are fasting from something during Lent, if you are fasting of your time, think about what you're fasting for. What is your intention? What are you particularly trying to get from this fast? And it could be as simple as I'm trying to grow closer in relationship to God, but it could be something as powerful as I'm fasting for a friend or family member of mine who's really going through a very, very difficult time right now. Okay, we're super busy. We've got a lot going on. Let's get practical about fasting. I want to give you a couple of tips to hopefully help you take advantage of this very, very powerful prayer. Tip number 1. Focus on the intention and not the action. So instead of focusing on how you can't play on your cell phone, or you can't scroll through social media, or you can't eat that chocolate or that pizza or that burger, or include whatever it is that you're fasting from, instead of thinking about it from the perspective of I don't have access to or I cannot do that, rather focus on what it is that you're trying to do. Take advantage of what you're now making room for, right? If it is a question of I'm no longer going to be scrolling through social media for this period, really great idea then is to spend a little bit more time in reflection. Take advantage of that and pray. Read a book. Do something that's going to help you grow closer to God if it's a time thing. If you are not going to be eating that particular meal, but you have it right there, perhaps now's the opportunity to donate that food to someone who may need it and really strengthen one of the other pillars of Lent, almsgiving. Tip number 2, incorporate prayer into your fast. If you are giving up something that's will drain a lot of your time, now's the time to pray. Specifically be deliberate about filling that free time that you now have with a prayer. One of the most valuable resources that we have, probably the most valuable resource that we have in this world, is our time. And if we can offer a little bit more of that resource, a little bit more of that gift to God, and try and grow closer to Him through whatever time that we do have available, I think that will really, really help you unite yourself closer in relationship to God. a really great opportunity to incorporate some additional prayer into your daily life, especially during this Lenten season as we go forth. There's a really smart guy that I've known for a while. His name's Raul, and Raul wanted me to add this. Prayer without fasting is a diet. And I really love that. I think that's a really, really clever way of thinking about what am I actually trying to get from this fast? Is this about me? Is this about the opportunity to, lose a little bit of weight because I'm not taking the normal amount of sugar that I would take? Or is this about God? Is this about making sure that my sacrifice is intended towards Him and Him alone, not primarily directed towards me? Tip 3, fast from distractions. A really, really underrated form of love is your intention. Just being wholly present for someone is one of the greatest gifts that you could ever give them in a world where everything is trying to pull our attention into 1,000 different ways. There are so many different videos to watch. There are so many different TV shows to watch. There's so many things that I need to get to, or things that will keep me entertained. And it is overwhelming, but to be here and now and present is a really, really powerful thing to do. So why not do that with God? And the reason I'm saying this is because this is something that I'm personally working on. I really get distracted in my prayer. I really get distracted when I'm trying to spend some time in reflection and even often adoration. I will think about 10,000 other things. So potentially for you, fasting from distraction could be something that really helps unite yourself closer to God. Tip 4, challenge yourself with something that hurts. This is one of those things where think about the thing that you probably spend your most time doing, or the food that you love the most, or the thing that you say, I could never live without it. Maybe live without it. See how that goes. And that sounds scary, but I think that this is a really great opportunity, because if you can live without it, then you know that, okay, that isn't actually as important as I thought in my life. And more than that, I think that's a really great opportunity to show God, like, you are the most important thing in my life. If you've been fasting for the same way during Lent for the past however many years, it may actually just be standard practice for you right now. And it may just be like, okay, this is the way that I typically do Lent, so I'll be fine, just no chocolates, no luxury, and move through Lent without actually having, challenged yourself. And so I encourage you to do that. To challenge yourself. Give up something that you don't think that you can live without. Because I think in those moments, we have to rely on God's grace to overcome these things that we don't think we're strong enough to do. Tip 5, if you can't do the big challenge, if you can't do the big fast from something small and scale up from there. Father Josh Johnson talked about this in a video that I saw many years back, where he talked about just, he gave up salt and pepper in his food, and he loves those two things. He loved to just add that little bit of spice or zing to his meal. But he realized that if he didn't, it made him a stronger man in the long run. And that's a very big jump. So let's walk through that, right? He denied himself this very small thing. And then he denied himself something a little bit bigger. And then he denied himself again and again and again. And he started off small, but he scaled this up in his own life. And he grew in discipline, he grew in holiness, and he grew in appreciation for the sacrifice that God makes for us and for the sacrifice that God made for us when He died on the cross. There are powerful things and powerful people that start off with small and humble beginnings. We're not trying to get a perfect Lenten fast. If you can, amazing, thank God. If you can't, and you do fall, and you do trip, fall, and eat a chocolate, it happens. I know it happens. If you do trip, fall, download Instagram and spend 2-3 hours scrolling, that's a very long fall, but it happens. I get it. Get back up. Father Mike has this quote in the Bible in the Year podcast, and I love it. I love the way that it applies to our lives. More specifically, I love how it applies to Lent. The most difficult day to read the Bible is the day after we didn't read the Bible. The most difficult day to fast is the day of or the day after we fell in our fast or we failed to fast. Get back up. I beg you, I implore you, get back up. And so this is the challenge for this week, fast. And if you haven't intended to fast for the course of Lent, I encourage you to do that just for this next week. And we'll have a different challenge when we come back next week. Pray about what it is that God could be asking you to give up just for this next week. So I'd love to hear what it is that you're doing and how your fasting journey has gone. And be honest, like if it's gone well, let me know. If it's gone terribly, let me know too. Please can you drop a comment and just let us know how you're doing and how you're tracking. And I just want you to know that I'm praying for everyone in this community. I'm praying for everyone that receives this video and that watches this video. And I hope that you'd pray for the other people in the community too, because we're all going through our own individual Lenten journey. And I think we could all really appreciate and find value in the strength that we pray for one another and that we give to one another. Guys, my name is Marco Manzella. I am Catholic and I am proud. I hope that you are too. All of the very best. God bless you, and I'm praying for you. Ciao.